more than 11 and a half months passed. And I told them how to go about it. I said, you need a righteous team. Amos, you ain't going nowhere if you ain't got righteous people. You might as well face harsh reality. I had some people talking on one other radio station, all kinds of things. Illusion. Illusion is a fake, Bahamians. That's not reality. Just like the magicians, and you see them say they're magic and things like that. That's not real. It's a fake. It's a fraud. Illusions have not solved your problems in 52 years. And you need to understand that. Scripture says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Now, either you're going to believe God or you're going to believe these illusionists. You go along with illusions, you lose another 52 years. You know how many people have lived and died over that 52-year span? Hoping for a better day, had their hopes and dreams in political parties and political individuals. And look what happened. We are here today, 52 years later, and we have all kinds of problems in this country, all kinds of problems. My special guest, Jeff Sands, better known as Golden Isle, that's my good friend. He's here to discuss issues of constituency and national importance. The wide-ranging topics we'll be covering today. And of course, my other special guest should be hooking up with us from the United States. We have some things we want to put on the table for you to think about, Bahamians, because this is the election season. Let me just say right now, I've been doing my homework for the last almost a year, not quite, 11 months and a half. When I told you to do your homework 11 months and a half, not one single constituency has called me and said, Professor, here is a team you can work with. We have found some righteous people in our constituency. And here's the problem we are looking at to solve in 18 months. Scripture says you can do it in 18 months. The Constitution says you could do it in 18 months. All available evidence shows it can be done in 18 months, but there are some very specific things you have to do. It doesn't happen just like that. You have to go by some very specific things. And I said to you, 51% or more of the people in your constituency must become righteous in their dealings one with another, then that constituency is headed for progress. Do you understand the importance of that, Bahamians? If you're not doing that, you go right back to wickedness and corruption. Because once the problem has been solved, you need the people in that particular constituency to be a buffer against wickedness and corruption. You ain't got none now. And not a living one of you could call me today and say, Professor, we're rejoicing in our particular constituency, and give me the particulars. You haven't done it in 11 and a half months. You think I forgot, eh? I'm letting you get away with that. But I've done my homework. And there are people on the ground in the various constituencies who want to see change. People want problem solved, you know. People want their solutions to their problems. That's why you send people to the House of Assembly to govern this country, to be in the House, to be in the Senate, to be in the government, to be in the cabinet. You know, all these appointed people, this one got this position, next one got the next position, signing all kind of agreements and treaties. You know, I haven't even had the opportunity to talk about any of these treaties. They got all kinds of agreements they signed. I have not had the opportunity to discuss that on the radio. Do you know that, Bahamians? The treaty between the United States and the Bahamas. Don't you think that's important? You don't know anything about it because they never told you anything about it. The treaty between the United States and Canada, the treaty between the United States and Haiti. And of course, we got CARICOM. We have arrangements with CARICOM. Maybe these things are important. And you don't know a single thing about them. And they've been signing and signing and signing and signing and signing for the last 52 years. And you don't know what the government has signed on your behalf. You sit right there and let them do it for 52 years. When I asked you, you think I forgot about this day? I wasn't forgetting nothing. 11 and a half months later, you have not even said, Professor, here I am in this particular constituency. Here is a group of righteous people we can work with. You mean tell me you can't find no righteous people in your own constituency? Give me a break, man. Who do you think you're trying to fool? You got those other jokers on the next radio station talking about illusion. Illusion is a fake. It's a fraud, Bahamians. It's not real. Why do you think I've said every single time I have the opportunity, listen to what your leaders are saying to you and watch what they do, Bahamians? That's the real thing. That's reality. Illusions can't solve your problems. People talking crap cannot solve your problems. That's why we're in the predicament we're in. 52 years after independence, all we got is problems. Let me just say a couple other words before I bring my guest in, because he's right here. The point is, one particular party, and see, you people who just forget these things, 70 years next year. One particular political party in this country has had representation, but let's put it this way. Party personalities sitting in the House of Assembly and the Senate for almost 70 years. Next year will make 70 years. Do you know that, Bahamians? You've given that particular party 70 years of unbroken opportunities in the House of Assembly and the Senate. Man, they've been all over the place, in the judiciary, all the way up to the Supreme Court, all the way up to the appeals court. They've been in every single position, the judiciary, the House of Assembly, the Senate, the cabinet. Come on, Bahamians, 70 consecutive years in and out of government, in opposition, in government. What have we gotten for the 70 years? What do you see, Bahamians? How can we be so blind? We got to be deceived. Deception is a serious thing. And these fraudsters talking about illusions. Illusions are fakes, Bahamians. It's not real. But you gave the people. And here's another thing before I get my guess in. You gave that particular organization widespread support. Okay? In the House of Assembly, massive landslides of seats, except at the very beginning. In the first year from 67 to 68. After 68, man, they just tore wide open from 68 to 1992. Election after election after election. Massive majority. What have we gotten for it? Then somebody else came along. Say they want to do something different. That particular personality had 10 years. And guess what the people did? They went right back to the party that was there for 25 years and 9 months. That's what you did, Bahamians. You gave this massive landslide of seats, so they had no complaint to say they didn't have the numbers. Do you understand how serious that is? And you people out there talking crap? Now, let me come right to the most recent time. The last two elections. And Bahamians, you need to look at this very seriously. Under Dr. Minnis, leader of the FNM, 35 seats out of 39, Bahamians. Do you understand how serious that is? That's what you did. That's what the electorate did in this country. 35 out of 39 went to the FNM. PLV had 4. The man said he saw some headwinds. He called the election 8 months before the time. People got vexed with him. They were looking for that money. 18 months of pay, 18 months of, no, 8 months. Sorry, let me get it right. Sometimes I get a little excited. I got to slow down. Listen, Bahamians, I deal with facts, not illusions. I don't have time for no illusions. Illusions are fakes, Bahamians. The man said he saw some headwinds. He decided whether it's him or whether it's the cabinet. It's difficult to say. They say they got cabinet secrecy. I ain't getting into that because I'm not even interested in their secrecy. They could take that with them and carry it to their grave. But the point is, we know the facts as the election was called. 8 months ahead of time. Do you understand how serious that is? And then the people who were there, who were in those high positions, they got dead vexed with the man. Why didn't tell the man when they were in the cabinet meeting? Or was it his decision or the cabinet of the Commonwealth of Bahamas? Let me just tell you something before I bring my guests in. The Constitution says the cabinet has what? Overall direction and overall control of what? The government, Bahamas. And he said nothing about no prime minister, you know. You people don't even understand the importance of your Constitution. But if the prime minister has overall direction and overall control, that's unconstitutional. Do you understand how serious that is? So we know which is which, whether the particular personality, Dr. Minnis, strong arm, all those fellas in there. But they forgot how he got the position. Sometimes we just be very foolish, you know. How did he get the office of prime minister? But the Constitution is right there to tell you how he got it. And they didn't stand up if they disagreed. I don't know. I know whether they agree, because they ain't tell us nothing. You see how these fellas operate? But the election was called, and the election was lost. And guess what the Bahamian people did? They went back to the other party, who had 4 seats, and gave them 32 seats out of 39. That's where we are today. Now tell me how we're supposed to make any sense out of that. Just tell me, Bahamians. But it's the electorate. The people who went to the polls, and they tell me that was the lowest turnout on the election. I got to get all the figures on that one. But that was reported to me. A low voter turnout. You see what happens when you stay home and you don't exercise your parliamentary democracy? I gotta have town meetings. That's why I'm asking you for your support. Because see, you did nothing in 11 and a half months. But I've done my homework. You thought I was sleeping there waiting on you. Give me a break, man. This country is in very serious trouble. 11 and a half months later, since I spoke to you on July the 8th of last year. You do nothing with it. You sit right there. Allow all kind of crappy things to occur in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You didn't even correct your representative. You didn't correct the government of the Bahamas of the things they have been doing since they came to power in 2021. Did nothing. Same as how you expect to get anywhere. You think sitting quietly is going to solve anything. Eh? All you got to do is go and pull the record, Bahamians. The record is there. Labor problems, and I understand Belinda Wilson has won the presidency of the Bahamas Union of Teachers. That may very well be. I heard it on the news today. She's been certified or recognized as being the winner. Let's put it that way. But let me tell you something. The problems are still there, you know. Do you know that? Even though Belinda Wilson is president of the BUT, the problems, they talk about the problems. Her election to that office didn't solve one single thing. The problems are still there. Now, with the greatest respect to Belinda Wilson, she's fighting for her union. That's fine. She's fighting for her umbrella union. That's fine. I got no problem with that. But I am trying to get you to understand it takes more than Belinda Wilson to solve the labor problems in this country. While she has a responsibility as president of the BUT and president of Umbrella Union, I ain't quite sure what the name is. But the thing is, you got 3 umbrella unions in this country. And Bahamians, we have very serious problems. They got to find solutions. Now, let me just say to these candidates who are going for the election, listen carefully. You look at the 2 major political parties. You got on one side where the fellas say he ain't running no more. You think it's just all that to it, eh? Don't be fooled by that, Bahamians. One party is very slick. Very slick. You got to understand the nature of the beast. They present themselves as being united. And I'm not knocking them for that. But you got to understand the facts. When the man stood up on the floor of the House and was complaining about his particular constituency, what happened? He forgot that he's a member of Parliament. See, he have 2 positions. Member of the PLP, that's 1. Member of the constituency that he's representing, that's 2. And he was complaining about the fact that he wasn't being considered and how another particular constituency he was being overlooked. So what's wrong with that? Why shouldn't he not say it? Then all of a sudden he come back and apologize for what he said. Give me a break, man. You do not have to obey anything from a political party once you're sitting in that House of Assembly. You act on what? Behalf of the people of that particular constituency, and the constituents need to stand with you. What's wrong with these people? You shut your mouth up because a particular personality in that particular political party tell you to shut up. You gotta be crazy. You have freedom of expression. Freedom. See, here's another thing which you all don't even use. I've been mentioning it over and over and over and over again on the show. Freedom to impart ideas and opinions without interference. You haven't been using that, not even on this show. I'm very disappointed in some of you out there, you know. All this mouth you got, but you don't exercise your constitutional rights. You can call the show and say, Professor, these are my opinions on a particular subject. I ain't gonna say nothing. What else could I say when the man tells me you have a right to do it? But you don't use it. That's the problem I find with Bahamians. You, listen, there's so many things in that Constitution that I need to cover about the rights and freedoms of the Bahamian people. You don't even know what kind of power God has put in your hand. And you had taken crap from a political personality. Give me a break, man. Did they wake you up this morning? Did that political personality wake you up this morning and give you oxygen to breathe? The answer is no. So what the heck you letting that particular person control you as if that person is a god? Give me a break, man. How we get like this? Anyhow, let me stop. Jeff Sands, welcome to Global Radio 99.5 FM. Thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, Professor. It's a privilege to be here, and your company is always where each and every one of us as Bahamians can learn something from you in this country. I think you have a wealth of knowledge, and people need to listen to you because, you know, your voice is strong and you make a lot of sense. And so I want to say thank you for being here. And your monologue was extremely good. And I want to piggyback off of that.
Yes, sir.
You know, we in this country, the Bahamas, the problem is we are governed by a group of ungodly men. These men don't have Jesus or Christ in their heart, so they do the things what they do simply because of that. They don't have empathy for people, and because of all of this situation, we find that our country is spiraling out of control. Like you said in the book of Proverbs, it speaks about,
29 too, yeah.
yeah, it speaks about, if the people will rejoice if they get righteous leader.
Of course they will.
And so this is why we have some of the problems in this country today. And I want to say, you know, you said somebody spoke about illusion.
Yes, illusion is a fake.
Illusion and that word defeat. Sorry, illusion and the word deceit. Them two really go hand in hand because I watch an illusionist or some illusionists on many occasions,
Of course.
and the way they do what they do, you really would believe, you're trying to figure out how is it possible for them to do it.
Yes,
But so, people have to understand you cannot keep getting deceived
exactly.
in this country. Somewhere along the line, you have to wake up and really understand that, we are in a reality.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And once you know that we are in a reality, then you should know the right things to do.
Yes.
As it relates to also what you spoke about MPs, I wholeheartedly believe it's a good idea for every MPs to come and show themselves. And when I say show themselves, show their heart, who they are.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who are running in the political arena who don't have no idea what the average Bahamian people goes through in this country today.
Yes.
Some of them get there just for their own personal gains. But when you look at it, what do they want to do for the people? Do they have that vision as to what they want to do?
Yeah.
Then we got a leader or the leader of any party who believe they're the ultimate leader and that nobody else should have nothing to say because I guess they believe that they have all the ideas to the problems in this country. And, that is wrong. I feel like any political organization should allow the members to function independently, understanding that, you still have the respect of the leader. But this is what we have. I don't want the Bahamian people to get excited around election time or be fooled about who they gonna be electing for any constituency, the candidates that they would ratify. Because in the last election, I understand that the prime minister picked a lot of female to be in his party.
Yeah.
And you see, what do you see any difference? Is there any results because of all of these females that are in the party? Did they made any impact where you could say with the female members there now, we see a difference in our society? When you look at a lot of abuse that is taking place in this country, with women being abused back and forth. And then we had a couple events that showed where women were being abused. And these women who we put in parliament, who we respected, and who we put there as voices to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, they're silent on that. And they are the very ones now, among others, who want a second time. A second time for what? To do what? I know a particular member of parliament under the F&M administration, and I can speak candidly and bold about what I'm saying. But I'm going to also be careful and respectful. But these people go in the parliament saying that they are Christian, that they are preachers or pastors. They have the love of God in their heart, and when they go there, it's like they throw God aside, and then they start to get so personally caught up but that's not the spirit of God. When God give you a chance to a platform to speak to the people and to show up Him, you're supposed to take that opportunity and glorify God by doing what is right. But we see a lot of people today in society, they just want to fill their pockets, and that's all it's all about, material gains. But I always say, for every member of parliament and every government members who believe that they're going to take anything somewhere, look at those who are passed on. If you look at them, yeah, their body, their reports in the house of assembly, and everybody passed by. At least those dignitaries passed by. Look at the casket. And look at the corpse.
And they bring him
And
back.
I don't see no host on the side of that. I don't see no big lavish host on the side of that casket. I don't see no big lavish car on the side of that. I don't see no bank book full of money on the side of that. What I'm trying to say is this: we know that we are not going to take nothing back when we're going to. That's according to the scriptures and the reality. When we die, we are not going to take nothing back. So, Mr. Thompson, if you can't and will not take nothing back, why not share what you got?
Yes,
Why not share it and touch someone who's unfortunate, who are not able to help, to probably even find meal to eat today?
exactly.
Why is that so hard? Why are persons so mean and so into themselves? You see, that's because they don't have the spirit of God in them.
Okay.
And so I find this quite disturbing in a country like ours, who's supposed to be, according to the Constitution, a Christian
A
nation.
Christian nation, yes.
But our hearts are so far from that.
Well, that is something we have to work on. And this is why I want to explain again to all prospective candidates out there, global radio is wide open for political campaigning. Now, of course, there's a fee for that. We don't give that away for free because that's time and effort, Bahamians. All right, they can come in and they can come on the radio station in the studio live and speak about their political platform. The parties also have that opportunity from a party perspective, no problem with that. Same principle applies. The individual personality who is going to be running in the particular constituencies. I've been checking this out for almost 1 full year. When I told those people out there, you go and check it out for yourself. You ain't gonna fool me to tell me to believe that there are no righteous people out there in those constituencies, because I'm not believing that crap. I know better than that.
Absolutely.
You just have not been honest with yourself.
Sidney, you and I spoke about that on a few occasions, and I totally agree. And we spoke about people who live in each constituency, who persons can identify as someone who are able to be a leader in that community, and only the people know who they want.
Yes.
If you go on the island now, somebody could tell you who to go to and who have the pulse of the people. And
Yes.
so you're right. If you're going to run in a particular constituency, let me know that, you know, I see you, you're visible, and I know who you are and what you're all about. I
And
think if we could get to that point, then we'll have some good representatives.
we're going to get to that point because we're going to discuss that a little further in the show along with some other issues. Bahamians, this is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. This is the political season, and people are getting all excited about things that are not important. What is important is parliamentary representation. Have you had that for 52 years? Or have you had party representation? All I ask you to do is look at your constituency and see the conditions in that particular constituency. And I ask one question: what major constituency problems have been solved over the last 52 years? And here are the positive results we are enjoying today as a result of that strong parliamentary representation. That's the question. That's only one question I can ask you. Now answer that. You had 11 and a half months and you ain't answered it yet. This is Professor Sidney McArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We're going to break. My special guest, Jeff Sands, better known as Golden Isles, is my good friend. This is Professor Sidney McArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break. Just 2 seconds, that's all that is. I can talk straight for the 2 hours. But the point is, Bahamians, we've got to deal with the problems we have in this country. Now, of course, we were talking about the constituencies, and Bahamians, please, do not fall for illusions. Do not fall for magic. It isn't working. You live there in the constituency all your life. Some of you are under 52. Some of you who've been there 30 years, 25 years. You mean to tell me you don't know whether any major constituency problem has been solved? And you expect me to believe that? You think I'm stupid? Payments, I know you. You can't fool me. The point is, I know the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas better than most of you out there. That's why I studied constitutional law. And I also am studying statute laws because I found that the fellow got all kind of crappy things in these statute laws. Now we also got the treaties and agreements that have been signed. I haven't even discussed one treaty on this show yet. It takes funding, Bahamians. I need 49 people to do research. 7 teams of researchers, 7 on each team. 7 by 7 is 49. You don't understand the kind of digging up I have to go through. And we got to bring these people on board. We got to take care of them. We got to get equipment for them. We got to find space for them to work. Bahamians, that is work. That's why I tell you to support me. You thought I was going to sleep because I asked you over the last year. No, 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 no. I was watching this all the time. And I'm not surprised of your behavior. You don't understand the importance of free speech in this country. You know how many people are crying out for free speech all around the world? And we got it right in our hand. And I quoted a portion of the Constitution for you. Freedom to impart ideas and opinions without... You know, Professor Thompson can't stop you. The Constitution prevents me from doing so. Freedom to impart ideas and opinions without... You understand what I'm saying? That's written right in the document without interference. But you got some people who do that on the other show.
Well, you know, I totally agree with you because it's all based on the Constitution.
It is constitutional, and I tell people all the time, but the people ain't using it. They come on the air and they talking all kind of other things. They say, y'all don't even understand the Constitution.
But I know for a fact, sometimes people are afraid to speak out, not because of any other reason than because of victimization. Some people are afraid to be victimized. And
Who does be victimizing anybody in this country?
Well, I mean, let's face it. The number one organization in most cases are the police.
The police?
Yeah, we see that all the time.
Tell the police behave themselves.
We see the police victimized. I could give you examples of that. We see the police victimizing Bahamian people all the time. And sometimes they're being instructed to do certain things by the government of the Bahamas.
You mean the police do them kind of things?
Yeah, the police does those kind of things.
Well, I'll tell you this one
documented.
Thing. Okay, all right, no problem. Once you got it documented, I ain't gonna argue with you on that point.
I got facts.
Facts. Okay, good. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once you have the evidence, but I can tell you what evidence I got. Them fellas down there at Central Police Station.
Yeah.
On East Street.
Uh-huh.
They do nothing for the people of Fort Finn Castle. That's where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell them to do something about it, because I can tell the commissioner herself. I say, you got to talk to them people down there, you know. Because the people of Fort Finn Castle get no kind of protection, no kind of assistance from Central Police Station.
And that is throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Not just, I mean, I know you're speaking for your constituency, but I can tell you, based on what is going on in this country today, you don't have that kind of support. The support, what we need from that organization, it's just not there. You know, you go up and you try to have a peaceful protest.
Yeah, they ain't want to let you have a peaceful protest.
It's such a big deal to them where they just don't want maybe another political organization to speak, or even just a broad set of Bahamian people who would like to express themselves. They don't want that to happen.
Right, okay.
I'm sure you could recall when the members of the COI went into Miami, Florida to do a peaceful protest because they were not being able to stand up and do a peaceful protest
in the
Bahamas, which the Constitution provides them
that
right
it
to
does.
do.
It provides them, yes.
So I'm telling you, this is some people, they would like that opportunity to speak, but every time they get that opportunity and they do it the right way, that the police sort of crush them.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, then you see, they gotta express themselves, Bahamians. If you keep it quiet, well, Golden Eyes told me he got the evidence, so I ain't gonna argue with him.
Yeah, I got the evidence.
Well, no problem. We could deal with that. I went to the Supreme Court yesterday, and I want to say this again because I mentioned it on the show yesterday. They were very cordial to me yesterday at the Supreme Court. I must give them kudos for that. I didn't have any difficulty getting some information. I didn't get all that I had because the thing is that the personalities who I asked the questions, who were coming in and out of the door, they gave me some information. They gave me some people who I could call. I wanted the direct name, direct number The number's supposed to be working, because I told them plain. I said, listen, man, I've been trying this number, but you all say you could get through to operate. I've been trying it for weeks. Can't get through. And then they put a recording. They're saying nobody did answer the phone. But no, they treated me well. I must give them that. They were quite nice to me. And all I saw was men. I ain't see no woman in there. Now, I'm not saying no women working in Supreme Court.
And the funniest thing is they probably will treat you well because they know you have a big mic in front of
I
you.
blasted them on Friday.
And you will open up your big mouth.
I blasted them on Friday. And then I was supposed to go Monday. And then yesterday was Tuesday, right? Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Today is Wednesday. No,
right?
man. Yeah. I carried my good friend with me. And then he happened to know everybody who was in there.
Okay.
And we had a good time. They were very cordial. I mean, the men were very nice. They were very honest and upfront. They say, Professor, here's how you should do this. And they gave me direction. I can follow the directions because I want answers. And I said to them, I got to speak to my audience today. And I did speak to them yesterday, and I'm telling them again today. I had a good visit to the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I have to give it to you as I see it. Now, if they mess up, I can call them out.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So I think when I go there again, I expect to get the same quality treatment. I expect every other person who wants to go there. They put the badge on you and everything like that, that you sign the book and put the time you're in, the time you come out. No problem. I ain't got no problem with that. That's protocol. They could keep that. But the main thing I said to them, I need answers to some questions that only could come from the head of the judiciary. And they told me exactly what I need to do. Now, see, if I had this information a long time, I could have worked with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're giving me numbers that can't work. I call all the other numbers and they keep ringing. No one would pick up the phone.
Get frustrated.
Well, that's frustration. You know how many people I tell them call the Supreme Court in relation to this particular case that's supposed to be coming up shortly. All right? And the thing is that you call the number. You used to get through, It wasn't always that way. You used to get through and you could speak to the secretary and so on. But you can't get nobody.
They probably got everything automated now,
Well, I understood there was some changes. The people did explain that to me, but I said, well, y'all ain't say nothing to me. You ain't put no announcement on the radio. You ain't tell the people nothing. So what you expect me to do? And now they got the recording there saying nobody did answer the phone. I know if it done, they changed it from yesterday. I don't know. But I blasted them on Friday. I was dead vexed. Because I think it's a disservice to be treating people that way. I didn't agree with that at all. I expect the people who are being paid the taxpayers' money to give justice. Now, the man say he could give justice. Okay, but I can prove him beyond a shadow of a doubt where there's any real justice in that Supreme Court. You think I can stop there just like that? No, sir. I can test you to the ultimate. Because I want hardcore evidence whether there is any justice in the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Now, they were talking about one particular personality who they said was serving on the Supreme Court bench, gone up to the appeals court. And they spoke well about that particular person. You see, I just make note of them kind of things, I say, oh, yeah? Well, we can test that one out, too, to see where it is really so. Because they said some nice things. The Chief Justice and I think the Court of Appeal President said some nice things about this particular person. That's fine. I ain't got no problem with that. So I ain't going to make no noise over that. Not yet. But I can tell you one thing. Don't mess around with my constitutional rights, freedoms, and privileges. That's where I draw the line. And some other things were said to me. I'll just leave that right there for the time being. I'll use it at the appointed time. You just get enlightenment, when you talk to people, you get enlightenment.
Sometimes you can't
no.
hand.
No, some things you gotta hold back. Okay? So I thank them for their support. And I said, I got to talk to the people. And I have to be honest and upfront with the Bahamian people. And I will do that. But I think that we will be able to get some results based on what happened yesterday. And I'm so thankful that they handled me very well. And of course, my good friend who was with me, he knew all of those persons. They grew up together,
Okay.
But they're as young as me. That's the thing. I say, well, this is good. He say, that was a miracle from God. Well, I prayed about it too, I
Yeah.
prayed about it.
And God answers prayer.
But he
That's
answers
what he
prayer.
Mhm.
Sometimes when it looked like ain't nothing happening, they really shocked me yesterday. I
Mhm.
must say that. I was so surprised I couldn't believe it.
does.
And I asked my friend, you sure these people for real? And he knew all of them. Every single one of them we came in contact with, he knew them. So, Supreme Court, I appreciate what I got yesterday. And of course, I'll be coming back again. And there's still some things to be dealt with. You say some,
Mhm.
and you keep some.
And see, God, Mr.
Yes.
Thompson, God navigates you.
Yes,
So
sir.
you go some places and you almost know you probably will hear something negative, but then
Yes.
when God navigates you to the right person and the right people, you'll be
Yes.
like your mind would be blown. That's how nice this. But then that's how God sets the tempo and the atmosphere
But
for,
that's what happened
for
yesterday
His
because
people.
I wasn't expecting that, but they really blew me away yesterday. And it doesn't take much to get me to think like that. But they were very cordial, very nice. And they answered questions as best as they possibly
Yeah.
could. I don't expect them to go beyond their authority. I say, I don't expect that. If you can't answer it, then you just say, Professor, I don't know
Yeah.
the answer to that. And they did. They did. They did. I ain't got no problem with that. But once you're being upfront and honest with me, because I said, listen, see, I got one big audience out there. They listen to me all the time. But I got to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
So, members of the public, the visit to the court, the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, was very good yesterday. So, I want to emphasize that. I know a lot of you were saying, Professor, when are you going to go to the Supreme Court? But I went there yesterday and they blew me away of the attention they gave me. And, I was expecting something else different. But you never know when you think that nothing is happening. God is working behind the scenes
Amen.
to clear the way for you.
God said, you know what it said? God said, be still.
I know
I got this.
I got
You
this
be
one.
still.
Yeah.
Let me deal with this.
I think I had the Supreme Court yesterday.
Yeah. We all experience that sometime.
Yes,
I
we
spoke
do.
to a lot of people who would say the same thing.
Yes.
They would say,
Yes.
I was so surprised at how nice this person was, or when I been there, I was expecting this, but then I was so
I
surprised.
mean, they just blow me away.
Right.
I had to pinch myself. Say, is this for real?
Mhm.
I say, this ain't no Supreme Court. No. I had to
Yeah.
pinch myself. But I'm in the right building.
You went there on the right day,
At the
place,
right
and
time.
and everything. Right, because had you gone there at a
On
different
another
day and
time.
time, you may have.
But this is my good friend told me that.
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to go the day before, but something came up and prevented us from going. And then the people call and say, Professor, did you go to the Supreme Court? I know they was going to call about it.
You probably would have meet somebody who would have eat your head right off. But God say, no.
No. I
Let
can
this
delay you
happen.
one day and
Yeah.
go in. Yeah. But no, the meeting was very cordial, and I really appreciate that. And they gave me information that they could have given to me at that time. They gave me the name and the numbers and everything. So I'll work with it, and I will follow the instructions. And I expect to get better results as we move ahead. So Bahamians, the Supreme Court can work in our favor. We just have to understand the system. There were some things I did not know and did not understand. Had they told me this months ago, I could have been much further ahead. But I ain't get no information. What you expect me to do? I know what the Constitution say, but then these fellas sometimes they make decisions. I respect authority in the country because God said you must respect the authorities that He sets up. I ain't got no problem with that, but it has to be constitutionally sound.
Yeah.
Now, say I can get dead vexed if you ain't constitutionally sound. And a place like the Supreme Court's supposed to be a place of justice. You're supposed to get justice, Golden Isle.
And that's what the courts are for.
That's what the courts are there for. So we got a matter before the court, and we need to get answers on that
Right.
particular issue. Okay, so Bahamians, I just want to put you at ease that I had a good visit yesterday. And I know a lot of you were wondering about it. I mentioned it yesterday, but I say I can mention it today. And let's hope the Supreme Court continue to do a good work. Okay, so when I speak about them again, I'll have to
And
say
well,
something positive
yeah.
about them. So, Supreme Court, I appreciate how I was treated yesterday. And you really blow me away because I was so flabbergasted. I could hardly say anything. But that's the way it went yesterday. So, but Golden Eyes, let's get on with what we were
And that should
discussing.
be indicative of all government offices or department there.
I'm
You
glad you
go there,
mentioned that because I tell them always about the House of Assembly. See them people in the House of Assembly?
yeah,
You call them the first, when it ring once, they pick it up. They be dingling 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rings. They've always been doing a good work. And my good friend Cartwright found the same experience. They go there, they help you, they give you information, accurate and precise information. If they don't know, they will say, Professor, I don't know.
right.
Same thing with the fellows at the
Very
Supreme Court.
professional.
Well,
Mhm,
that's good,
mhm. And
you know.
we need to highlight that kind of
Well, that's why
experience.
I'm highlighting it today so that
Yeah,
other agencies of the government will follow suit,
right.
like the members of the Supreme Court and also the members of the House of Assembly. I ain't quite sure about them other fellows at parliamentary registration. I got to check the fellows out down there because I haven't been there in a little while.
Mhm.
So I got to see whether mandates to give me good treatment all the time. There was no problem getting information from the parliamentary registration. I going back to them again. And I got to see whether things have changed. And if they change, baby, you know, I can tell you. So they better watch out.
Mhm. And there you put them on notice. So
No, I did
yeah.
blast the Supreme Court on Friday. I'll be honest about that. I was upset. You know, you got these numbers, all these numbers, everything ringing. And I tell the fellas that the same what kind of
That's
thing is this?
frustrating. You know, and
It is
a senior
frustrating.
man like you should not be frustrated more than you are right now.
Do
Like,
you
look, man.
know it's unconstitutional to frustrate me for 1 second? People don't understand. The Constitution says no man, woman, shall ever have their life frustrated by deprivation. That came into effect July the 10th, 1973. So if you frustrate me for 1 second after July the 10th, 1973 at 12 a.m., you're unconstitutional. They just need to get that and then through their psyche, man. You are never supposed to be frustrated by anyone or any entity or any agency of the state at any time. It's unconstitutional. It's wrong.
We need to have the Constitution taught in school now. I mean, I've heard people have been trying to have this conversation for years and years. What is so hard
All they do is
about
give,
putting that on the curriculum? What
all
is
they have to do, they ain't really got to worry about that. Give me the support I need. I'll teach them.
yeah? Because this,
Because
it's
they had,
ridiculous.
listen, they had 52 years to do it and they ain't do it yet.
See,
You think we could wait
the
another
problem is
52?
knowledge is power.
It is power. I believe my producer is telling me we got to
Oh,
call on call on the line. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor Thompson, and
Yes,
your
sir.
guest.
good
Yes.
afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
This is
Golden.
Kendall Hanna from Freeport Grand Bahama.
Yes,
Yes.
Padana.
Mr. Thompson, you ain't miss me, sir?
What do you mean?
I mean, your friend on the
I know.
radio.
Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah.
miss you.
Yeah, you
So
are.
we
Yeah.
won.
What do you mean?
We won. We won humans. We won blood. We won. So yeah,
Oh,
love
okay.
you. You love me. We love the universe. We love everybody. I came
Okay.
to call to touch on the medical part.
What medical part? What is that?
They gonna have their first kidney transplant or something.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
heard that on
That's
the
supposed to
news.
be on today, I believe.
Okay, but don't
Yeah.
get happy, Professor Thompson. I want to teach you about some what I call on your show before. I'm
Uh-huh.
Michelle Malcolm show before.
Uh-huh.
Professor Thompson, the first start is solution of the problem. Kidney problems start with lack of minerals. Where they take it out the water, what we drinking now. We only drinking H2O. We're not drinking the mineral water like our grandfather and our great grandfather had the well back then and had minerals in the in limestone and moss all around. They scare us out and they take away from that because they say that give us stone.
Okay.
Now we got introduced to their water table. which is no mineral, which the cause of pancreas, liver, and kidney problem. Lack of minerals, the pancreas can't work, the liver can't, the kidney can't work, and the liver can't work. The medical world notice
Okay.
because it's about the money.
All
Now
right. Okay.
they do. Hold on, Professor. They
No, I'm
do. They do.
listening. You go right
Huh?
ahead. You go right ahead. I ain't cut you.
Okay. Now that they got that emotion, now they selling organs now. Now if you want to live, you can buy the organs now. Now they don't create the problem, take the minerals of the water to come to this now. Now we're gonna sell you all kidney and liver and all them. So one great news, Professor Thompson, what they ain't telling us. We created by DNA. That's a number. Each one got their own number. Each DNA got their own cells, got their own memory. We like a computer. We wired up. We energy. So,
caller, let me ask you one question.
yes,
What is the source of your
I don't
information?
know if he was a
the source
medical
of my
doctor.
information is if you put a kidney where it belongs to you, Professor Thompson, your DNA ain't gonna computer that. It's like a
Okay.
computer.
All right.
You might
Slow
live on
down.
medication
Slow
for a
down.
little bit,
Yes, slow
but you're gonna
down.
die anyway.
Yeah, but slow down, caller. You ain't gotta rush it too much. I'm trying to find out from you
It's
what.
education. It's a scientist's world. The scientists know it.
So you get it from the scientists then?
No, I am smart. I'm educated.
No, I'm
It's
not.
me.
No, I'm not questioning your qualification. I don't want to go that far. But I'm asking you, what is the basis of your information? What is the
The nature is
source
a
of your
problem where they
information?
have their first transplant. And I'm telling you, the nature what is wrong and what's right.
Okay.
So I'm revealing they wrong and they trick, Professor Thompson.
Okay. All right.
I know for a fact when they do have these kidney
No, caller,
transplant,
thank you for your contribution. Yeah.
when they do
Yeah,
have
go
these
ahead.
kidney transplant, they always have to have a match, which means that your blood have to be, I guess, basically the same as the donor. The donor has the same blood as the
Yeah.
donor.
But they say this is some new thing that they're doing. And the caller has a lot of I've heard some of the things he said previously from other sources. And uh
So do you know
the,
if the caller is a medical doctor or he just has been doing research?
well, I don't know if him being a medical doctor. That's why I asked him what was the source of his information. Okay. But if he has been doing research, well, because there is, between, you got the medical doctors and then you have some others who have some other views. And he has a right to his views. That's why I allow
Yeah.
him to express his view. This is Professor Sidney McGarta Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We're going to be back after the break. Thank you very much.
Express Yourself Live will return right after this.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island's sweet summer sale is happening now. Starting at $150 per night plus taxes and fees.
99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. I just had come into the office here at the studio. Mr. Dwayne Halley is one of my associates. And of course, we have Golden Isles Jeff Sands, my good friend. And we're discussing issues that confront the country. We got to talk a little bit on the political side. We did start that, but we got a little sidetracked. I think Brother Hyla has something he wants to present, and I'm going to allow him to take the mic and speak. Brother Hyla, welcome to Global Radio 99.5. Express yourself.
Hi, good day, Professor. Brother Jeff.
Good day.
Bahamas, good day. Good day, everyone. Producer, good day to you. You know, Professor, sort of in an emergency fashion, I find myself coming to the radio station today because you and I have been warning individuals about Article 24.1,
Yes.
organizing yourselves for the protection of your interests.
Plural, yeah, that's correct.
Okay. August the 9th, 2024, we reported that there was a notice that came out of the Office of the Prime Minister related to acquiring land in Fox Hill. 20 parcels of land that the government wanted to acquire from families. The reason stated was to give to other families of low income.
That's what they said, yes.
It didn't seem to make sense because where are the families that are living in those homes? Where are they to go?
Yeah, that's correct.
If they have already paid for this property, it's already paid off.
Right, yes.
Or if they are 75% paid off, in the process of paying it off,
Right, yes.
where are they to go? Especially if they are older citizens
Yes,
in the constituency of Fox Hill. Where are they to go if they are older
right.
and you take them out of the home, especially in a situation where you may not even pay them today or next week or anytime soon?
That's correct.
That will happen.
And that has happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Brother
That
Jeff,
has happened.
you've known of this?
Yeah, I've
Yeah, he
known
knows.
of cases like that.
Okay.
You know,
He say he have evidence, some other things too, which we'll talk
okay.
about.
Okay. So in today's paper, the Tribune in particular is Fox Hill and some 10 pages, a large segment, Professor, of pages and pages of those properties. The properties, the site plan from Step Street in Fox Hill, Rose Street in Fox Hill. The government is saying they are taking this land. And I don't understand it. Grant Street in Fox Hill. We're not hearing from you. Dorset Street in Fox Hill. Professor, if I may read
No, go right ahead.
what the notice says.
You have the microphone. Go ahead.
It says government notice, Wednesday, June the 18th, 2025. Commonwealth of the Bahamas, New Providence. Declaration of vesting given under the Acquisition of Land Act, Chapter 252. Whereas, as notified by notice of possession, dated the 6th day of March, 2025, and published in the Extraordinary Official Gazette, dated the 11th day of March, 2025, the land and hereditaments described in the schedule hereto have been duly appropriated under the Acquisition of Land Act for the public purpose, namely making land available by way of sale, lease, or otherwise for the housing of persons of low or middle income and for the uses related thereto. Now, therefore, in pursuance of Section 18 and 36 of the said Act, I do hereby declare that the land and hereditaments described in the schedule have been vested in the Minister of Housing, in trust for His Majesty in right of his government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas of public purpose.
So now it's shifted from the Prime Minister to the Minister of Housing.
From the Ministry of Housing.
It's
Now,
Pete Bell.
it's also signed, dated the 11th day of June,
Yes.
Minister responsible for the acquisition of lands.
Oh, yeah, but we know who that is.
And we know that that is Mr. Philip Edward Davis.
Yeah, that's
He's the
right.
minister responsible for the acquisition of lands.
Right.
So, what is different about this notice, Professor, as you pointed out right away?
Yes.
I didn't see Mr. Davis' name attached to this notice,
Yes.
but it was attached to the other one.
Oh, yeah, we know about that.
It said both. It
Yeah.
said minister responsible for the
Land.
acquisition of lands,
Right.
and it also said Philip Edward Davis,
Davis.
plainly written on the notice.
That's right.
This time, his name does not appear.
Fair on it.
I don't see his name appearing. Maybe after closer scrutiny, but I don't see his name. It just says minister responsible for the acquisition of lands.
Do you see the name of the minister responsible for the? You said minister responsible for the acquisition of lands.
As well as the minister of housing.
Housing.
Right. So now you got to understand how this wording goes. See what I keep saying about the people of this country. You got to watch what the government is doing,
Mhm.
what they say, and watch what they do.
Mhm.
We know who's the minister for the acquisition of lands,
Yes, sir.
and we also know who's the current minister. Well, at least who they're
Mhm.
supposed to be now,
Right.
Minister for Housing. You understand what I'm saying?
Understood.
See, we told the people in Fox Hill they had hard like rock. We gave you notice all the time when we told you about sitting on your backside,
Mhm.
doing nothing,
Mhm.
allowing the government of the Bahamas,
Mhm.
you sitting in the house talking about you watching TV and the man outside see taking your
Mhm.
property from you.
Yes, sir.
What kind of people are we? Just like I said before you came, I don't know if you heard me on the show. but
Earlier,
I
yes.
chastised the
Mhm.
Bahamian people
Okay.
for 11 and a half months, man.
Okay.
You expect me to believe the crap you trying to put on me?
Okay.
That you did not even check to see whether any major constituency problems have been solved in your constituency. You've been living for the last 52 years.
Right.
In some cases, some maybe 20 years, some
Mhm.
25 years. Give me a break, man.
Right. There's something else I have to bring to your attention, Professor.
Yes, sir.
Based on what I just read, something different about this notice than the other one.
Okay.
The Prime Minister appears to be hiding behind the king. Listen,
Oh, yeah,
listen,
yeah.
You notice? You
read
see
that
that?
part again. No, read that part again. No, you're right point.
Ah,
That was a good point. I heard him talk about his majesty.
Yes.
No, let's read that again
Yes,
to the Bahamian people.
It says, now therefore, in pursuance of section 18 and 36 of the said act, I do hereby declare that the land and hereditaments described in the schedule hereto have been vested in the Minister of Housing
Right.
in trust for His Majesty
His majesty.
in right of his government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas for public purpose.
Now you see how they twisted it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you read,
Yeah.
I think we have a caller on the line. Let me
Mm.
take this caller. Caller,
Okay.
you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Professor. Listen, that thing is hitting a home run. I have friends who live up in Fox Hill. I want you to listen to me. They say Fox Hill is saturated, like you take a sponge and dip it in a gallon of water with immigrants. You hear what I say?
Yes, ma'am.
Say Fox Hill, you can't find walking space for immigrants. So you know what that means.
Wow.
Wow.
That's the answer right there.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not disagreeing with you
Ah,
because we gave them warning from the
Warning.
time the notice first came out. We went on air with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the notice is different now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we can compare the two. We can get
Yes.
the two of them and put them side by side.
Okay.
I'm going to do that because now we see it. Thank you, caller, for your contribution.
Mm-hmm.
We see a little twist there.
Yes.
Okay. And you have to see that's why the people got to learn to wake up, man.
Mhm.
The government of the Bahamas,
Yeah.
the people you elected to run your national affairs are the ones who are doing this to you, Bahamians.
Mhm.
after 52 years, this is the kind of thing we're supposed to be facing today
When
when we should be solving problems?
actually, what I'm wondering is, you said the government is acquiring these land. Right?
Yes,
Obviously, the people have ownership to these land,
of course.
and there's a lot of crown land out there.
Okay, then.
So I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why is it that the government is focusing on these land in Fox Hill,
Right.
Where people already
people
already
already
living,
own them.
yes.
Why
Yes.
is that? I know governments would acquire, and it would make sense to me. Is government acquiring land as it relates to whether they want to do some roads,
Road
yeah,
works.
public works,
Yeah.
yes.
diversion of roads and
Yes.
stuff like that. I could
Yes.
understand that, but to say somebody owns this property
Right.
and you want to acquire those properties to put low income persons on that
Yes.
property,
Yes,
to me that don't make no sense.
it makes
I
no
don't
sense at
understand it.
all.
I mean,
Yes.
and in Fox Hill, so
Mhm.
what you trying to? I mean, is it because of the representative in that area? Are you trying to? I don't know if you're trying to maybe let people see that he's actually working for the people, or
Working for what people?
And I'm saying maybe that might be the statement they're trying to.
All
make
you
there.
have to do is listen to what they say and watch what they do.
Mhm.
We ain't got to speculate on nothing. They're trying to jam all kind of illegal aliens in Fox Hill.
But the Bahamian people have to wake up.
But
They have
they
to
ain't
wake
wake up
up.
to that yet.
Listen, Brother Jeff, 15 of the properties had homes and businesses on them.
And still have them.
15 of the 20. So 5 of the properties were vacant land. But 15 of them, people in the house watching cable,
My God, that's
And the man outside taking
cooking
the
their
land.
evening dinner.
Yeah.
I did a walkabout myself when I presented.
diabolical.
When I
Evil, wicked.
When I presented the notice to the people, they said they had no notice of this. That means they didn't even put the notice in the people's hands.
No, they didn't.
And how much people just read the papers?
How much
Or-
people
Yeah, that's true.
read the papers?
How many of
on-
them know about that
I don't
today?
even know if it's on any of the social media platforms.
Okay, then.
Because
Yeah.
you would say that if people don't really look at the papers, they'll
Yes.
see it on Facebook or something like
Well,
that.
Right.
exactly.
I'd like
Right.
to know if it was there, so people could really know that their
What is
property,
going on.
Exactly.
you know, is being
And
acquired.
put it on the
Exactly.
radio stations.
Reeves Street, Rock Court, Grays Terrace, Grant Street.
How big are these properties individually? But
Some of them.
100 by
Listen,
100
I'm
or
looking at one right now. That is 19,000 square feet.
Mhm.
19,000 square feet. I don't want to give the names, but the names
have
of the
them.
family are
Right
in the
there.
paper.
In the paper, yeah.
Wow.
The names are in the paper, the location of the property, and the site plan. You could see the map. Everything is out in the open right here.
That's right.
The map is here. Some property have 2 buildings on it.
Okay.
Some have a convenience store. I see one at a convenience store.
You really have to get to know what's really going on. This could be something that goes very deep.
We
Because
are,
when-
we,
in this
Yeah.
political climate that we're in now,
yes.
what's going on? We
Mhm.
just can't take anything for granted.
Right.
Because
No, you
I
can't.
really would like to know
Mhm.
who are the owners of these properties, who politically who they voted for, and the reason why I say that is I don't like to bring politics into everything.
Uh-huh.
But are those property taken from people who oppose the government?
That's a good question.
I'd
That's
like
an
to know-
excellent
I would like
question.
to know that because then it would be telling me something else. What are we dealing with here? What
Oh.
is the government dealing with?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then if it's my property, and I'm struggling, why would you want to take my property?
Mhm.
And you're not paying me for it. You're trying to at least, even if you say offer
Mhm.
any amount of money, government is never going to offer you the right amount of money for your property.
But they don't get
Well,
it.
before we take the call, let me just insert there very quickly that in the notice that came out August the 9th, 2024, they said present your papers and what you think the property value. They didn't put it in this notice, but in the last one, they said, tell us what you think it value or an appraisal.
Yeah,
So,
you're quite right.
You have
Yeah.
a caller. Yeah.
Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Professor. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
I thought this is Latanya Strong calling in from Grand Bahama. Good
Yeah, I
afternoon,
appreciate the
TCI
call.
also.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel.
Professor,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
listened to this show today, and we know that this ain't a new problem now. It's gotten worse under this administration.
Yes, ma'am.
But the thing about what concerns me is Grand Bahama is now swarming also with new migrants.
Wow.
You know, you go to the food stores and you traverse throughout the island, and all you're seeing is new immigrants.
Yes,
And the
ma'am.
worst of it is, these persons, they can't speak a lick of English, so you know they just reached. They
They
have
just reached,
persons
yes.
who is actually,
Yes.
you know, with them that is helping them to understand the language and the culture so that they can at least interact. So
Yes,
it
ma'am.
lets you know that these people just reach. Okay? My concern about this isn't just to call into the show and just to say that. But my concern is to the Bahamian populace. We are the ones that determine how our country continues on this trajectory, or whether or not we're going to make a difference. And, you know, even as I know that the government, and I'm going to say this, I know that the government has been violating our laws on the both administrations by way of distributing a citizenship against our Constitution. We all know this, right?
Yes,
What
ma'am.
bothers me is the Bahamians are still in agreement and is still considering both administrations after we would have seen the slaughter, the mass slaughter against our citizenship
Yes,
with
ma'am.
these migrants that is now coming to our shores and that are being infiltrated through our system and our communities.
Yeah.
I want to ask the Bahamian people, what is it going to take for us to understand that we are the ones that is going to make a determination if our country continues in this direction or if we are ready to really make a difference? Because I don't believe that is not enough of us to make a difference. I
Okay.
believe our problem is we are so divided as a people that we refuse to come together for a common cause by way of ousting out both administrations that have failed us,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
has allowed this I don't even know what to call it. It's so sickening. And I am not a prejudiced person, neither am I xenophobic. What bothers me is we are about to lose our country because Bahamians are so divided on politics.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to ask the Bahamian people, what are we going to do at this juncture
That's a good
as
question.
Bahamians?
Mm-hmm.
What is the intention? Just sit on this talk show and talk and complain amongst ourselves? Or are we going to change this system that we see being infiltrated by these administrations?
What I would say to that, madam, is this. I think we need some good investigative journalism. Somebody who, like, from what I heard, and I have no facts to prove this, but I heard that a lot of people were coming down that Bahamas there were making a lot of flights from Haiti
No, we're going to check that out.
into Nassau. And
Yes.
a lot of people were coming here with papers or maybe getting papers and passports shortly thereafter. I mean, is there no journalists out there, I mean, on the popular media station who could investigate and definitely say that that is the case and then
Yes.
put the question to the government as to
Of course.
why is it that y'all are allowing all of these people to flood the Bahamas? I mean, I think it's the responsibility of for the state to make a lot of things right. Now I know Mr. Davis, they did their homework as far as getting into the mainstream media and moving a lot of people who probably had what it took to bring to the public the whatever information that they needed to know. But what happened is right now we have a lot of I call them young journalists.
That is
I
true.
call them green.
That is true.
They don't know how to pose the question, and they are fearful.
Yes.
So we need some bold journalists, and we find that a lot of people now, because they don't read, and the fact that They don't listen to the news much. They just like it's nothing to them.
Yes.
And so what she said a mouthful.
No, she said more than a mouthful.
I mean,
She was so filled with accurate and precise information. That's why I told the people, I gave them almost a full year, 11 and a half months. And I was watching them. I think we have a call on the line. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good day.
Good day.
Professor Thompson?
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a question because I have a situation where the government has put up our property for auction for non-payment of taxes. Now, the situation is this. The property originally was owned by my father-in-law who died
Yes,
in
ma'am.
the early 80s. His will was probated and transferred to his children. But Inland Revenue's information in their system has been billing the estate of my father-in-law. The
Okay.
matter is now in court, so I have to be very careful of what I say. So I'm trying to find out, we never received a bill, tax bill or anything from Inland Revenue for any of the 4 children that the properties went to.
Yes, ma'am.
But the
What-
government has cut a road through our property, partially paid for one piece of it and never paid for the other 2, refusing to even answer us on it. But this is the same land that they are also putting up for auction that they never paid us for. I'm trying to figure out if that property is still in my father-in-law's name, the bill never came to the rightful owners. Does the government have the right to put our property up for sale?
You asked a very good question. What I want you to do, I won't want to get into the details of it over the air. I want you to leave your name and number with the producer. Mr. Producer, please get this lady's name and number because this is a very important issue. I am so delighted she called me. You gave me something to work with. So, Mr. Producer, take her name and number. I won't go into details over the air, what I want to say to her, but we will deal with it off air.
Okay,
But it's a
thank
good
you.
thing that you called me. My God, God is good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you very
Hi,
much.
Jeff. I was trying to get Jeff attention. Jeff didn't answer my call.
But don't worry about that.
Okay.
You got him now.
Yeah.
I got him now. I'll call him later.
Okay.
We are going
Thank
to
you so much.
find that agencies of this government. See, let me just say this. Mr. Producer, please get the lady's name and number because that
Yeah,
is
it's
important.
very important. He's getting it.
Now,
Yeah.
here's what I want to say. You see why I told them I was checking into things for 11 and a half months when I asked them what major constituency problems were solved in their constituency. They thought I was joking. The aim is I need 49 people to do research. 49, 7 teams of 7. 7 by 7 is 49. 7 is God's number. 49 in the 50th year, that's the 50th year, that's the Jubilee year. Okay? The aim is I need your support. I need you to support me. I can get the job done. It can't be done just in a 2-hour show. That's why I asked you what major constituency problem. You thought I was joking about this. We need your financial support. You hear what the lady told me? You know how many other people are caught
That's
up
it.
in situations like
That's
this?
it right there. That's
And
it.
we're going to be sitting on our backsides and do nothing. No, sir. So I want you to call me, say, Professor, I want to support that team of 49. We have to get space. We got to get equipment. We got to get the thing rolling, Bahamians. We don't have time to waste. We may not have a country if we don't act now.
You're right.
And you are taking this thing lightly, Bahamians. This is very serious business. But you say you love Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson. Well, fine. I'm prepared to fight. Send me an email. The State of the Nation 242@gmail.com. I've given certain instructions to my people. Send the email and say, Professor, I want to give full support to that team of 49. That's just the people doing research. Okay? And please put your telephone numbers on the emails, Bahamians. Because some of you sent me some emails, but I didn't have the phone number. So please send the phone number. Okay, because I like, when I read these things, I like to see the number right there. Let me call that number right away. Bahamians, this is important. You thought I was joking when I asked you July 8th of last year about your constituency? Bahamians, this is no joke. You see what happened today when Brother Hyler came in here and called me, say, Professor, I got something urgent to talk about. I tell people all the time, you don't know when I come to sit in this chair, what may happen at any given time. So I'm prepared for anything now. But I need your strong financial support. I need 49 people to do research. Dr. Hamilton was here and he said how important research is. Payments, I can't do nothing if I don't have the exact, accurate, precise information here. The lady called about something. We can't play around with that, Bahamians. We got to know what we are doing. And we have competent, reliable, responsible people who are ready and prepared to wait. All we need is that funding. So you write that email and you say, Professor, I want to support that research team because Bahamians, we need funding for it. That's just one now. I hear the music in the background. There's some other things I want to tell you. I'm prepared to wait, Bahamians. I got to wait to save the country. We can't sit on our butt and do nothing. So I am appealing very strongly to you. Please send the emails or you can call me. I'll give you the number 325-8652 at National Affairs. You can call me anytime on that number. 325-8652 or the numbers right here at the station. You say, this is the information for Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson, and I will call you on that. Payments, we got to work, man. We got to move fast. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. We'll be back after the break.
or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Bahamians, please listen to the professor. I've been warning you honestly and truthfully. We don't have time to waste, Bahamians. You've got to move right away, today. I want to get that email from you because I need to get the team working. We need strong financial support. All you do is send me the email and say, Professor, I'm willing to support that research team, because research is very important. We had Dr. Hamilton here on the show yesterday, if you people who heard the show. You can't get very far if you don't do your homework. When you hear me speak about the law of this country, when I told you about the Electricity Act, we don't be joking. We tell you go and read it for yourself. What was passed in the House of Assembly? And they made some very specific things. They say what's supposed to be done, Bahamians. And we come and tell you, listen, man, look at this section right here. The man signing all kinds of things in his office on a Sunday morning when he should be in church. Talking about he signed electricity notes and contracts. Come on, Bahamians. They ain't paying attention to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the law has been passed, the Electricity Act of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
You see why I need a research team? We got to research everything, Bahamians.
Mm-hmm.
This is no joke. You heard what the lady said about the land. We knew this land issue was coming up.
Yep. And it's here now.
And it's here right now in big, bold self.
That's right. A whole section. I mean, it's as thick as a newspaper.
Well, I can get that. I can get a copy of that.
And we do have another guest has just joined us online.
Oh,
here.
Van Dyke Bennett Taylor?
No,
Okay.
Miss Owens actually.
Oh, Miss Owens, she's on
Owens
now?
is on now. Yes.
Ms. Veronica Owens, welcome to
Thank you,
Global
Leah.
Radio
Your
Network
coffee maker.
99.5 Express Yourself Show.
Thank you very much, Professor. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not hearing her clearly. Mr.
Wonderful.
Could you hear her now? That's
I'm hearing some feedback. I'm not hearing her clearly.
okay. Good day, Miss Owens. We are on. We're getting it sorted out, but you're on.
Let her
You're
go
on.
ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms.
Thank
Owens.
you.
Miss Owens, we brought you in knowing that you are a resident of Fox Hill.
Yes.
And we have already read live on the air the notice that came out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
You would be aware of the last notice related to August the 9th, 2024.
That's correct.
In today's newspaper, there's a declaration of vesting given under the Acquisition of Land Act. So this is fresh and new in today's newspaper. And it's saying that I do hereby declare that the land and hereditaments described in the schedule have been vested in the Minister of Housing. In other words, removed from the former owner and vested in the Minister of Housing in trust for His Majesty in right of his government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas for public purpose. And Ms. Owens, that public purpose is said to be, namely, making land available by way of sale, lease, or otherwise for the housing of persons of low or middle income and for uses related thereto. That's in today's newspaper.
Okay, so that's absolutely absurd. The people of Fox Hill are low income. Very few of them are even of middle income. So what are we doing? Are we displacing one set of people for another set? And when are we going to begin the conversation on this? In my particular case, the government has owed me money for taking property from me in the Fox Hill area for over 30 years.
Wow.
I have been pursuing that matter. Actually, my mother was pursuing it before transition. And she conveyed the property to me, and I took the fight. I went to Prime Minister Davis when he was the Minister of Work to solve the situation or to resolve the situation. After, at that time, it was more than 2 years, he tried to offer me $5,000, take it or leave it. And I asked him, how did he come to the figure of $5,000? What formula did he use? And he got very annoyed, and that's when he told me to take it or leave it. The Constitution
you were
states that
told
the government has a right to acquire property or take property from citizens through eminent domain. However, the government is supposed to provide them with prompt and fair compensation for that property. I don't think that after 30 years, it would be considered that the government has acted constitutionally, because I have been paid, and there are scores of other persons, even in the Fox area, that the government has taken property from and not paid them for that property. What are we doing?
That's a good question.
Excellent question.
That's a very good question. Like you said, we are displacing one set of Bahamians
For another set.
and for another set, and we don't know
Of
who.
persons.
We don't know who.
Persons. We don't know to say from one set of Bahamians for another set
For
of
another
Bahamians.
set of,
Yes.
right. We don't even know that.
We don't know that.
The names that appear here, again, we cannot call the actual names,
No, we don't want to call the name. Let's
You know,
stick to the issue.
but we could say their names, Davis, Ferguson, etc.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is from Rose Street, Grant Street, Step Street, Cox Street, Ramming Street. I mean, round and round Fox Hill.
Yes.
Yeah,
20 pieces of property. Actually,
Okay.
one piece on Harold Road is, I think it's 5 acres.
Okay.
Just one piece is a 5-acre tract of land. So you're saying it's been over 20 years or as much as 30 years, Miss Owens, that you have been.
My situation is more than 30 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. But Miss Owens, you've served as a former member of parliament, as a permanent secretary, I believe, in education.
Parliamentary secretary.
Not permanent, parliamentary.
Permanent, so parliamentary secretary.
There's a difference.
So,
Yes.
Miss Owens, I dare say that if you find yourself in this challenge after serving, as a public servant, I'm saying that you are of significant status in the country.
No. With all due respect, I don't even want you to go there, because it should not be that way.
So it should not
Every
matter who
Bahamian
it is then.
has rights, and
Okay.
every Bahamian is important. We cannot use our place, our status, to take advantage of the disadvantage of the poor people, and that is why I have aligned myself with the DP party, because that's a different kind of governance that the Bahamian people will experience as a result of them governing the country.
Yes, ma'am.
Politicians are looking for expediency, they're looking for opportunities, and they don't care to advantage people to get re-elected. But I have chosen to support a group that's interested in people's welfare and well-being, that's interested in the Constitution, following the rule of law. Right now, what's going on is totally illegal, not only under the Constitution, but it's a disregard for the rule of law. What are we saying? Are we saying that His Majesty, the King, is disadvantaging one set of Bahamians for another set of Bahamians? Because that's exactly the way I interpret it. When you tell me that you're going to find legally property, you're going to place me and put that property in the hand of the crown for another set of people or person. It makes sense.
I cannot understand. I mean, you're taking from Peter to give to Paul. What is the difference between Peter
She's still
and
right
Paul?
to speak, yeah.
Jeff, you can make the comment again, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I'm saying from what I gathering from all of this is you're taking from Peter to give to Paul. So I mean, what is going on? What is the difference? Does Peter have more than Paul? And you trying to make an even feel here, or I mean, I don't understand. I really don't
I also
understand.
don't understand.
You don't understand it because it makes no sense.
It
No.
don't make no sense.
No.
Because if you taking somebody's property to say you want to give this property to somebody to the less what do you call it?
You say lower income
Lower income
or
family.
middle income.
Middle
That's what
income.
they're saying.
That's what
So
they're saying.
so you're trying to tell me you're trying to say that Peter is doing exceptionally well,
Mhm.
that he now you can take this property from, and even that wouldn't be right constitutionally.
Right.
You could take this
No, it
property
isn't.
from and give it to
Yeah.
to Paul, who you believe need
Right.
this property.
And where are they to live? Because again, 15 of these properties have buildings on them with homes or businesses.
Yes.
So you taking away their income in the case of the businesses.
Yeah, right,
course.
exactly.
And then in the case of those that have their homes, many have been in the family for generations,
Right.
2, 3, 4 generations. This is all they've known. And here it is, they in their home, all of the, they're watching cable. And you're
Right.
saying the government is taking this, we evicting you from this property.
Right.
Where are they to go? Are they going to take out another mortgage, especially the older persons that are there?
Yes.
Brother Hyla, I'll be honest with you. This is really concerning to me. You know why?
Mm.
I've been hearing now for months. I might as well say for almost 2 years or more that the government is trying to replace us, the Bahamian people. Now, it seems like a lot of things being said lately, or what I've been hearing, is like when you talk about the flights what are coming in from down south,
No,
right?
we can verify that.
And people flooding the Bahama Islands, right? And now you're talking about taking land from me. I don't understand it. I mean, who are you going to give this land to?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Yes.
And I personally believe the Minister of Housing, Mr. Keith Bell, was put in that position to do some stuff like this. That's my personal opinion.
Well, let's not even talk about that. But let's look at the facts, man. Who is the Minister for Lands?
The acquisition of land.
This is it.
An acquisition of lands.
Yes.
That's the one you have to deal with.
It goes straight to the office of the Prime Minister.
Okay, let's not talk about an underling. The minister is an underling. That's all he is. You have to understand the minister is responsible for the acquisition of lands. That's the fella you got to deal with. Now you put an underling there and talking about for the king and all this kind of nonsense. You know what was put out before? This is why I keep saying to the Bahamian people, you got to watch what the government of Bahamas is doing. In particular,
I want to extend an invitation to every Bahamian that the government owes money to contact the Bahamas Constitution Party and leave their information so that we can mount another lawsuit, this time a class action against the government of Bahamas. Because until we, the Bahamian people, begin to push back when our constitutional rights are taken away from us, they will continue to do whatever it is that they want to do. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. So if we Bahamians want to stand by and allow the government to displace us, take our property and render us homeless without paying us for that property, without giving us justification for taking the property and the use of the property, which the Constitution states has to be in the best interest of the people.
Yes, ma'am.
I have not been invited to a town meeting. I have not been given any kind of afforded any kind of consultation in regards to what's going on in the area where I live, where my property is. And so that's not okay with me. And I would hope that it's not okay with any other Bahamians. Has the government paid the people in Step Street for the property that it has taken years and years to go? Well, I am prepared to fight for you while I fight my own battle. We can fight together. United we stand, but divided we fall. And this is what the government is banking on. We don't ever stand united. We better start learning how to do it. Other than that, we'll find ourselves homeless.
Wow.
Remember what I told you about the fourth estate? I am saying now somebody should be pushing a big mic up in the prime minister's face, you know, probably when he you know, exit in the House of Assembly and
explain this.
Explain that to the Bahamian people, because right now, personally, I'm really lost for what are they saying or what. I just don't understand it. It don't make no sense to me.
Yeah. When we first saw it, my concern is that this may only be the beginning and a testing of what will the people do.
And if the people don't say nothing.
This when we first saw it August the 9th.
When we said it August the 9th, we mentioned it.
We as soon as we had it in our hand, Mr. Hyler brought it to my attention, we decided to go on air right away because we saw that it was documented from the Office of Minister for Lands, Acquisition of Lands. Okay? We knew that the information was legit. Now we have it again today, and they come up with some other things. So you put what was said first and put it together with this. And I agree with Ms. Owens that all of you Bahamians who have been land taken away from you, man, come on, land is precious. You were sitting on your backside, and in her case, some 30 years ago, come on, man. You need to take action. Article 24(1) of your Constitution. You've got to take action to fight against this wickedness. This is total wickedness, Bahamians. You cannot allow the government to walk all over you. What do you think I've been doing? When I asked you for the last almost 11 months, almost a year, I said, I can't wait no more. Because I was doing my homework too. And I'm not surprised this crap come up today. I was expecting it, in fact.
This whole country seems to be slipping away from us. This whole country, and then the Bahamian people are almost like they're in a state of stupor. It's like, I don't understand from me why Bahamians just so quiet and so passive about these serious issues that are taking place in our country.
Yes, they are. Very serious.
This is really... If Mr. Hyler didn't bring this to my attention this morning.
Oh, he was going to bring that.
If Mr. Hyler didn't bring that to my attention this morning, I would say, you have to show me that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that for myself.
No, but we and I'm delighted that he called.
What is behind that? Thank you.
He called the producer and bring it so we could put it on the air right away. Because that's what happened when the announcement came on August the 9th, 2024. Okay, now it is less than a year.
Yes.
And now they got something else in there. See, you got to watch the actions of the government. The Bahamian people need to understand. We have to do our homework. And as Ms. Owens suggested, a class action suit by all of those persons coming to Bahamians. You got to use your strength, man. There's strength in numbers. Article 24(1). I always quote Article 24(1). For the protection of your interests, Bahamians, you are not protecting your interests. Do not expect the government of the Bahamas to do it for you, because it ain't happened in 52 years. Do you understand that?
Yeah, it's serious.
In 52 years as an independent nation, the government of the Bahamas is the biggest problem in this nation. I've proven that. That's why I could say it loud and clear. Now let them challenge me then and say it ain't so. Not a living one of them has ever challenged that statement.
You know what I'm just remembering, Professor?
Go ahead.
There's a case in Exuma. I'm not talking about the moorings, right?
Yeah.
There was a case where the Supreme Court told the Attorney General to stand down.
Yes.
Remember we brought that up?
Yeah, we brought that up, yeah.
First of all, they sent property up for auction. a whole island. I think it's the Darby Keys.
The Derby Keys, yes.
I think it's the Darby Islands, they call it.
Right.
Bahamians, listen to this. They put up the property for auction.
Yes.
The owners of the key went to the court to seek an injunction
Uh-huh.
to stop them. The court granted an injunction.
Right.
The government put out a notice through the attorney general that we're going to sell the land anyway.
My God,
You hear that?
that's wicked.
We got to bring that up again.
The court says stand down. Do not auction that land until we could hear out the matter. The attorney general's office under Mr. Ryan Pinder said we are going to sell the land, auction it off anyway, and they posted a date in the newspaper. We're selling the land anyway. That is in defiance of the court.
Yes, it is.
So if the attorney general will not obey the court, why should anybody else? I'm not condoning his
I just
action.
want to say, you see why we have all this problem in this country?
Of course
Because
we do, yeah.
This
Okay.
corruption is
Okay.
started from
That
the top.
is why.
Okay.
That is why.
Let me finish
I
with this right here. Sorry, you know how to interrupt me. Just very, very briefly.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They had to seek a second injunction from the Supreme Court to get the government to stand down and to stop taking the people land. Go ahead, Professor.
No. But this is why I'm going to say to Brother Halle, we can dig up all that information again and bring it out in the public. Because I am saying to you, Bahamians, you have a track record of a government that has not obeying the law of the land in the best interest of the Bahamian people.
Professor.
This is why we have to be serious Bahamians. We can't
May
allow
I read?
Go on.
May I read Article 27 of the Constitution?
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Owens. Yeah.
Article 27 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas provides a vital safeguard for citizens, ensuring protection against arbitrary deprivation of property.
Yes,
it states, no one may be deprived of their property except by due process of law. 2, any law or governmental action that confiscates or restricts property rights must be lawful, fair, and follow procedures that protect citizens' ownership. And then Article 28 gives individuals the constitutional right to approach the Supreme Court for redress if they believe that their property rights or any rights stated in Article 16 through 27 have been violated. We had better begin to utilize our, first of all, we better begin to familiarize ourselves with our Constitution. And after familiarizing ourselves with our Constitution, better begin to insist on our rights, because this is obviously some demonic agenda that's taking place in our nation. There is an agenda, and that agenda is not in the best interest of the Bahamian people.
Ms. Owens, I am so grateful you mentioned that. And notice what you said, Article 16 to 27. Okay? Yes, the Constitution is the supreme law. See, that's what I go by. Every time I look at anything this government does, I see it through the eyes of the Constitution. Ms. Owens, thank you very much for participating. We may have to call on you at a later time as well, but thank you very much for participating in the show.
Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity.
Brother Haile, you want to get in a quick word?
I'll just say, you got to pray on a serious note. We have to work together.
Yeah.
We are not known to work together, but Fox Hill in particular, you all need to get together, call a town meeting, and address this matter. Do not go it alone. Stand together, band together, or everything will be taken away from us.
Brother Jeff?
I'd like to say, I'd like the Bahamian people to be vigilant. Read And if you're not sure or certain about some things, seek persons who have the answers, or like in this case, Professor is constitutionally learned, and you could get all kind of information from him. So, and like Brother Hyler said, that matter in Fox Hill, everybody has to get together on that and see if they could come to some resolve with that. We cannot let this kind of stuff to happen in this country today. We cannot allow this.
I certainly agree with you. This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson. I know the music is bringing me right to the end of the show, so I got to shut off. I can't say nothing much. But I want to say, please call me, 325-865-22 National Affairs. And, of course, give your name and number if you call the show here. But Bahamians, we've got to get moving. I need that research team on the ground, Bahamians. You need your strong financial support. So you send me that email, the state of the nation 242@gmail.com. The state of the nation 242@gmail.com. Please include your phone numbers on it, because we need to get that team rolling. This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests